Recently, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association played host to the International Organization of Employers at the 4th Africa Social Partners Summit held in Lagos, Nigeria. Many of the employers are hopeful and spoke insightfully on the need for more decent jobs in Africa. Hello and welcome to Labor Lane. So I am Sharon Ijason. We have interesting news stories for you. We will be right back.
Organized labor has been in the forefront of putting a stop to the high rate many employers of labor engage workers as casuals for many years.
And criminalizing sale.
Their struggle for a reversal of that trend may be yielding fruit as Wale Raji from Lagos State is moving for the National Assembly to amend the labor law to criminalize casualization.
Section 7 of the Labor Act provides that not later than 3 months after the engagement of a worker, the employer shall give him a written statement of employment containing the terms and conditions of employment. However, under the extant law, there is no adequate consequence.
Statistics ruled out by some of these legislators in the course of debate on the bill paint a gloomy picture on how the rights of Nigerian workers are abused in the name of casualization. They urged the Nigerian government to place premium on its citizens such that workers' rights are guaranteed and respected.
Most companies now, especially foreign firms, all their workers are casual. You will have a worker who will work for 6 months, who will work for 1 year, who will work for even 10 years. He's doing so well, but you make it casual. All of it is just an attempt to maximize profit.
80% or more of all the people that are being employed in the oil sector are being casualized. They will put in 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, then after some time, they'll be laid off without any benefits.
These are the staff school teachers of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. They are out again to demand for their rights from the university management and the federal government. For more than 2 hours that the protest lasted, movement of vehicles on the road leading to the Senate building were partially affected. Addressing journalists, Chairman, Senior Staff Association of Nigerian University, frowned at the university management for not implementing court judgment on staff school.
They took Sanu to court, and we won this case, and up till now, we have many university staff schools that judgment was implemented for. They are on the payroll of the federal government of Nigeria as I'm speaking to the press. But unfortunately, Obafemi Awolowo University and UI up till now fail woefully to implement court judgment.
They are working towards privatizing staff school. They want to make money from staff school, and as a result of which the teachers could go to hell. It's none of their business. If you had cared for somebody, how can somebody be working 18.5 months and now you have not paid them? And you want them to still continue to?
We are making an appeal to both the federal government and the OAU community, the management, to please resolve this issue. This school is 53 years old and we cannot throw it away.
Thereafter, they marched to the Senate building. Their presence led to the suspension of the ongoing council meeting, and the Vice Chancellor addressed them.
All federal government workers in Nigeria are now paid from Abuja. We cannot put anybody on the payroll. That time is gone when we can say this person can be put on the payroll. We conducted interviews here in this university in October and sent everything to Abuja. They have not been enrolled till today.
The
The African Continental Free Trade Area went into force in May 2019. Many stakeholders believe that this will actually promote decent work for all, especially for migrant workers, as only 18% of African workers receive social protection.
Well, one of the things that we're hoping to do with the free trade area is ensure that member states also abide by the minimum international labour standards, which prohibit child labour, for instance. So what we need to do is work with ACFTA to facilitate a mechanism which monitors or facilitate monitoring of practices which are against the minimum international labour standards.
I think intra-Africa industrial trade will have a great potential for creating decent employment in the continent. So I think the challenge now is, of course, how to make this vision. This is a big vision, the intra-Africa trade, and the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, I would say, is it's a bold step in the right direction. So
this is a big opportunity for Africa, but not for Africa, for African individuals, for African inhabitants, because of the potentialities in terms of economic growth and in terms of employment creation. That's clear, and that has been clear also in many other regions in the world which put into place trade regional agreements. In order to release these potentialities, you need a state really putting its efforts, I mean by efforts, resources, to make it happen.
At the just concluded 6th Social Partners Summit Group held in Lagos, Nigeria, the international organization employers have decided to take the lead in ensuring that decent jobs are promoted by having a new sustainable social contracts to ensure that there is inclusive development, which will in turn affect African citizens positively. On the Profile Interview segment this week, I will be speaking with the Director General of the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association. In this interview, he highlighted the importance for government in Africa to ensure that there are more friendly policies that will ensure that industries thrive. Hello and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
A lot is happening in the labor space, in the business space, and in the government space, especially when it has to do with workers and employers of labor. So can you tell us, would you say that relevant stakeholders actually recognize the role of business in Africa?
Well, I will start by first highlighting the critical stakeholders in labor and industrial relations. And these are, of course, based on the principle of tripartism, government, especially as represented by the Federal Ministry of Labor and the agencies under it, labor, especially as represented by the Central Labor Movement, and in Nigeria, spearheaded by Nigeria Labour Congress and TUC, and of course employers under the leadership of NECA. With regards to whether they actually appreciate the place of businesses or the important role business has to play, of course I believe they do, because if you take it one after the other, government as a critical stakeholder knows that businesses create wealth. Businesses also are the engine that lubricates the economy of the nation. And of course, they also know that the developmental agenda of government is also premised on the flourishing or success of businesses. So based on that, I believe they can definitely know and appreciate the vantage position businesses play in national development. Take labor, for instance. And of course, businesses are critical employers of labor, especially in the private sector. And businesses are not just talking about organized businesses, even the informal sector. So definitely labor, that's the central labor movements, NLC, TUC, and even the affiliate unions will also appreciate that without successful businesses, definitely there won't be workers. And without businesses flourishing, there can be sustainability of employment for their members. And more so, there can't also be new employments generated in the system. And most important, the ILO's concept or initiative of decent job will only be possible if businesses are also doing well. So when you look at it holistically, even the larger society also depends on businesses to create wealth, to also produce goods and services that also services their needs. So businesses occupy very important positions and play vital roles to the lives of every Nigerians and in the society.
Okay, recently there was a regional meeting held in Abidjan.
Yes.
Can you give us highlights of this event as regards employers of labor and probably social justice?
The Abidjan Declaration is basically an attempt by International Organization of Employers and the ILO, who are critical partners of employers of labor globally. Is an attempt by them to tackle that major challenge bedeviling African countries, the challenge of massive youth unemployment. And you know, most of the menace confronting us in Nigeria and of course Africa as a whole is associated with youth unemployment. When you talk of insurgencies, most of the youths that are agents that are being used by these insurgents and nefarious group are those that are out of job or jobless or underemployed. And out of their desperation to survive, they embrace all this evil group. And of course, because of the importance of being gainfully employed to even poverty reduction, at the Abidjan Declaration, it was agreed that more efforts, concerted efforts, should be deployed to job creation, especially amongst our youth population. And so the entire activities that surround the declaration in Abidjan is targeted to resolving the massive youth employment or job deficit in Africa. And it didn't just end there. We also felt that the dispensation that the world is going to now is the digital age, and that more should be done with regards to actually getting employers to embrace digital age and to also invest more in digital education, digital literacy. So that is basically what transpired there, and we've also agreed that we're actually going to build on it through further activities. And that is why we have the 6th African Social Partners Summit in Lagos, Nigeria, to also continue to discuss the issue, to take learning points and peer review amongst all African nations, and to also see what we could do better in resolving the problem of unemployment.
Okay, moving forward, advancing social justice and also shaping the world of work. Would you say that Africa is doing well in terms of ensuring occupational safety in the workplace?
Well, it's, I won't say we are where we ought to be with regards to occupational safety and health in the workplace. We have done better than we used to, but we are not yet there. In Nigeria, for instance, I know that much has been achieved through the National Social Insurance Trust Fund activities, especially as it affects the law enacted in 2010, which has to do with the Employee Compensation Act. And the Employee Compensation Scheme had several provisions to take care of occupational hazards, even up to deaths that's occupational related. And I also know that many social protection floor has been created for workers who had suffered one disability or the other, or injury or the other in the course of work, as well as the dependents of deceased workers in the course of work. That is one part of it, which was not there before. Also, very important is the fact that we have even moved beyond that to the sphere of preventing occupational hazards and to ensure that there is vast decreases, if not total elimination, of workplace dangers or hazards. And that is why NECA, in collaboration with the Social Trust Fund, the NSITF, has instituted what we call Safe Workplace Intervention Project, which is an annual event to ensure that we encourage the practice or the culture of safety in the work environment in Nigeria. And how do we do this? We do audits of workplaces. We reward those who are conforming with best practices. Those who are not up there with regards to what they ought to do and have infrastructural deficit, we also encourage them by also supplying them occupational safety and health equipment to upgrade their facilities so that occupational hazards will be prevented in the place of work. And of course, we also extend training activities to them and officers that are responsible for health and safety in the workplaces. So these are initiatives that has actually started changing the paradigm in the world of work. And employers are more conscious of their responsibility in ensuring that their workplaces are safe. Workers are also conscious of their own responsibility as well to take precautionary measures to ensure safety of themselves and co-workers in the course of work, as well as being conscious of their rights as well with regards to what their employers ought to do to ensure their safety.
Moving on, many people believe that more jobs will create economic growth. How true is this?
Well, you are correct, but conversely, I also believe that even before more jobs translate into economic growth, because I agree, labor creates wealth. However, when you look at it the other way around, you discover that economic growth is an integral part of job creation. If businesses are not doing well, it will be difficult for them to create jobs in the first instance. If there are no economic growth in the system, it will be efforts in futility to expect businesses to create jobs, not to talk of creating a decent job, which is the ultimate target. So, which is one of the reasons why we keep preaching that government has the role to create an enabling environment for organized businesses to thrive in this economy so that they can contribute to national economic growth as well as also ensure that they create more jobs and that they even ensure that those jobs translate into decent jobs with top-notch welfare for employees.
Unemployment is on the high side in Africa, and from the statistics, youth are the ones that are more unemployed or also underemployed. My concern now is many people have preferred solution of skill acquisition as the way forward to ensure that the number of unemployed youth are actually reduced to the barest minimum. Are there any programs that NECA is actually involved in as the employer's body for Nigeria? And is there any way that probably those that are watching can actually key into this program?
You know, we have since realized that the craze for white-collar job, which is limited in the first instance, is not the way to solving our unemployment challenges. And that is why NECA had embraced the acquisition of skills by our youths. We have also invested massively in partnership with the Industrial Training Fund to promote technical skills development projects, which is aimed at empowering our youth with requisite skills so that, number one, they are job fit for industries. Number two, their capacity is built up with skills and vocational education so that they can also stand on their own without actually seeking regular or formal jobs. And they'll be able to start something on their own with the skills acquired. And many of them, thousands of them out there, are already in their own businesses. Even some of them are now employers of labor. And we believe that's the way to go. And what we are done with ITF, I mean Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA, are done with ITF is to operate a model through the Technical Skills Development Project, which is limited by resources. In other words, we can only do the much we have done because of within the confines of resources available. And we believe that since it's a model that has worked, rather than reinvent new models or invent new ways of creating other skills development initiative, we call on federal government to actually look at this model that has worked and that has proven to be a catalyst that's capable of changing the paradigm with regards to solving the issue of unemployment.
So how can an average youth in Nigeria participate in this exam?
It's very simple. We have participating organizations who are in the private sector. The first criteria is that you look out for when recruitments are being done into this particular scheme. And you just follow the process of recruitment. There's no discrimination. It's a level playing field. And of course, even if you contact any office of NECA nationwide, they can guide you on how to be part of the scheme. And those participating organizations that's closer to where you reside. The second aspect of how you can key into it is because the scheme also empowers our technical schools. Government technical schools are being supplied with equipment to improve the practicals that are being done there. So if you are in a technical school, most likely you'll be directly impacted with practical skills for you to be able to stand on your own immediately you are out of the tertiary institution.
Recently, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, which you are the Director General, actually played host to the African Social Partners Summit, which is the 6th edition, and to be the first time that Nigeria will actually be hosting this event, if I'm correct. Yes. Can you give us a summary of what the event is about and what employers of labor in Nigeria and Africa should be expecting from the international organization employers?
The essence of it is to address the job deficit in Africa. In other words, to tackle headlong through this international conference solutions to African job deficits. The first to fifth edition caused some sort of revolution with regards to solutions to unemployment challenge, especially among the youthful population in Africa. And the very first edition that will be taking place in English-speaking West African country is taking place in Nigeria, in Lagos now. So far, so good. Many outcomes are already being recorded. Many learning points are already being recorded. It's also a platform to bring government directly to interact with private sector, to synergize, to create that understanding, to work together to resolving the unemployment problem. And that is working the Federal Ministry of Labor, Federal Ministry of Finance, the Industrial Training Fund, the CBN, and all key players in government are here, the employers of labor, and even the social partners, the labor unions, are also involved. It's a joint platform for every one of us, for every hands to be on deck to resolve the unemployment debacle. it is only hoped that it will not just be a talk shop. It will not just be articulation solutions to our job deficit problem. But the problem that Nigeria always has is in the area of implementation. There are all the outcomes and things to be done by government, by the private sector, and by all stakeholders will be taken serious and implemented in due course, and we'll see the results.
It was an interesting conversation I had with you.
My pleasure.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.